And we're live on Facebook.
All right.
Yep, you are.
And we are live on YouTube.
Perfect.
All right, gentlemen, y'all are set.
Thank you, sir. And let's do this.
Roll the intro.
You know those two guys from work who won't shut up about football, but are pretty damn entertaining? Well, they decided to buy a couple microphones. And with that, we welcome you to the CheesyCorn Sports Podcast, where Justin Adams and Martin Cheney wrangle over everything college football and NFL. Bold predictions, hot takes, and live game reactions. This is CheesyCorn Sports. And now, here's your hosts, Justin and Martin.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome on into the live stream and the podcast. It is your hosts, Martin Cheney and Justin Adams. Justin, how are you doing this morning?
I'm good. Trying to get my life together on this stream right now, but better late than never. We good. We got it. We are actually live this time.
We are live currently on Facebook and YouTube. Go ahead and check us out there. Make sure to drop a like, drop a follow, leave a comment, say what's up, give us your hottest sport takes that we can dissect and subsequently tell you that you're wrong about. Okay, so we had college football yesterday. We have NFL football today. Let's go ahead. Let's jump right into it here. What we're all about here at CheesyCorn Sports. We're primarily going to be a football podcast, right? We'll dabble in baseball. Your Houston Astros are one win away from the last series of the season.
Mm-hmm.
And NBA just came back too. I'm having a good time as far as betting goes for the NBA. And so we can dabble a little in that, but primarily we're going to be football. So let's start off with the college realm here. I don't believe – did Nebraska play yesterday or –
No, we were on a bye, so pretty stress-free as opposed to last weekend when I had an 18-inning playoff game and the Nebraska game going at the same time. So it worked out.
Absolutely. All right, let's go ahead and we're just going to dive into a couple of like the biggest games from yesterday. Let's see here. We can go ahead and we can start with the scare that Syracuse gave Clemson. Clemson had to come back from behind and barely edged out Syracuse. They ended up winning 27-21. Man, I really wish the podcast last week went live because we talked about how much of a fraud, Clemson really is, and DJ Uiagalelei. It was on display here. The defense obviously looks great. The rest of the team looks great, but that quarterback cannot move the ball
At all.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, like I said, we talked about it last week, how stats as of last week were like 15 touchdowns, two picks, which was, statistically looks good. He doesn't, his numbers don't really tell the whole story, but I mean, we've watched that team all year. They're just not good. I mean, and it starts with him. We've seen that team push athlete after athlete through that program. They've been good with high level quarterbacks, but you can tell just the significant drop off between Uiagalelei and the rest. I mean, I thought they were done yesterday against Syracuse. I don't know how they blew that game, but at one point Uiagalelei got benched for Kate Klubnik. So, Dabo says that's their guy going forward. He's with them through and through. I just don't think they're even a top 10 team, top 15 team, honestly, with the way they played. So, but they're going to stay in there just because they're Clemson,
right?
They're winning, but I mean, they're just not. I mean, we saw especially what Wake did to that defense. Like, it's just, they're just not all there. Wake's got a terrible defense, so he was able to stay in that game. But that team is just a broken mess right now, which is weird because, we're used to seeing Clemson at the top of the top, and funneling quarterback through there. But yeah, Uiagalelei is not it. And who knows? Like, I don't know if they got to back to him next year or what. But Clemson is going to end up dropping a game or two here down the stretch.
Yeah, this game really solidified my thought from last week, where Clemson is going. My prediction for it is Clemson is going to finish the regular season undefeated. If I remember their schedule correctly, and I can pull it up here, they have Notre Dame next week, Louisville, Miami, and South Carolina. To me, none of those are scary teams. They've all been madly inconsistent, and they're going to beat them. I
think they drop one. Whether it be the Notre Dame or Miami, I can't tell you who, but I think in one of those games.
And it wouldn't surprise me. But just to seeing how this always goes, I could very well see them finishing the season undefeated, losing to Wake Forest or North Carolina in the ACC championship. Maybe even NC State, although they've looked seriously inconsistent too. The ACC as a whole is just, yeah.
Forest in the Pac-12.
That's tough to do.
Which is hard to do, yeah.
Speaking of the Pac-12, I don't remember the last time the Pac-12 had a top 10 matchup inside it. And here we had number 9 UCLA losing to number 10 Oregon. I'll let you go and take it away, but Oregon, ever since getting mollywopped from the season opener by Georgia, they haven't lost since, and I think they've been a sneaky team on the rise as far as Pac-12 contenders go. But I mean, that's not saying much given that they're still Pac-12.
Yeah. Well, and two, we can consider it top 10 Pac-12 matchup with one Big Ten team, so we won't give the Pac-12 too. I know you're a Pac-12 guy. We can't give you all too much credit there.
It's a lot of pain.
I know you want to prop ASU up a little bit, but I'm not gonna allow that. So, Oregon. I mean, honestly, like Knicks looked good yesterday. I mean, they look good, but it's just like, how good is UCLA at the same time? That's the one thing we don't know, because all that is going to stick out in our mind with Oregon is what Ohio State did to them. And, I mean, we could sit here all day and say, because, I mean, they could very well be improving. I mean, they are improving. I will give them that. They are improving, but it's just like, on the grand scheme of thing, I know UCLA's number 9 in the country, but, are they a solid 9, or are they a fool's gold 9?
Yeah.
That's kind of where I'm at with them, because I'm sorry, did I say Ohio State? Fucking meant Georgia. I don't know why I said that.
I got what you're saying.
They just got completely destroyed in that game, and it's just like, I know Georgia's good, right? And then we expected Georgia to roll everybody, but Georgia's even shown their growing pains. I will say last year, though, we did see, Ohio State come out and lose their opener. I believe 2 Oregon? I think it might have been 2 Oregon. First game of the year, and then because they got out to a slow start. I think they were down 28-0, and by the time they tried to make a comeback, it was too little, too late. And we saw the Ohio State team was very good the rest of the way. So that very well could be what happens with Oregon. It's just right now I can't fully gauge just based on the opponents they play, and they finished the season with Cal, Washington, Utah. There's nothing there that's really going to be able to show me kind of where they're at yet. So I think they're good. I think UCLA was a little bit overranked.
Okay.
But yeah, so that's kind of where I stand with Oregon. Again, Bo Nix looked fantastic though. He's a stud, and
yeah,
they gave up a little bit. What scared me about Oregon is they gave up a little bit there towards the end. As far as just points goes, they just started giving up a little bit at the tail end of that. But yeah, if they can, I mean, overall, it's just a dominant performance, start to finish.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always going to be biased towards Pac-12, as you kind of said. So it is what it is. But yeah, Pac-12 is terrible. And they're going to get even worse if not fully dissolve into the Mountain Wests and whatever else, is remaining after all
be
these.
Over soon.
Exactly. But it is what it is. Unfortunately, I don't think we're going to really get to see what the Pac-12 is made of until a Pac-12 team makes it to the conference football playoff or the college football playoff. And what's unfortunate about that is you're playing at this level all season long, and then you're just expected to compete with all the way up here. Just like that. And we saw what happened with Oregon when they did play at that level. Bo Nix to me is like a college Kirk Cousins. Great against, on the Sunday 1:00 games, and then he goes to prime time against a big opponent and he crumbles. He folds. So that's just kind of my piece on it. Speaking of teams folding, horns down, baby. Let's talk about Texas choking to Oklahoma State. Quinn Ewers did not look good yesterday. I am a big fan of Quinn Ewers' talent, but yesterday was not it. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so, I did kind of say, what I said about Texas last week. Fortunately for this one, that's kind of lost in the ethos of the universe. Because I did say I thought Texas was – now I know they couldn't be ranked there, but as far as just how they have played and stuff like that and the analytics, I thought they were a top 10 team, right, as far as just talent and what they have done up to the point, being close with Alabama. I do think that the Tech game was a little bit of fool's gold with Ewers being hurt. It's just right now I just don't think that team's fully quite learned how to win yet. I think it's as simple as that, right? Like they had so many opportunities against Oklahoma State yesterday.
They did.
But they kept getting gashed defensively. Like it was like they would hold, and then just Oklahoma State would just break a big gash play. And it's like eventually, like they just took the wind. It was like just a war of attrition. Oklahoma State eventually took the wind out of Texas's sails. But I mean, even the previous few years, Oklahoma State's won more. I mean, they know how to win. Texas has still got to learn that. I kind of say this the same thing about Nebraska, right? Is their struggle last year? They won lost 9 score games. They don't know how to win. They don't know how to finish. What they do down the stretch is they'll hold firm, and then they'll get beat, and then all of a sudden, like takes the heart from them, little by little, and then eventually they're just worn down. By the time Texas got the ball back, 50-something seconds left in the fourth quarter, it was just too little, too late. Oklahoma State had all the momentum. Bijan Robinson, though, like, good God, dude's a monster.
Yeah, 24 carries, 140 on the ground and a touchdown. But unfortunately, when your quarterback only completes 19 passes out of 49 and throws 3 picks, not a lot you can do. What I will say is, even through all that, Texas still only lost by 7. And It was because they gave up 17 unanswered from the end of the third quarter to the end of the game. They were at one point in this game, they were up by 10.
Yep.
And then, they kind of bridged the gap a little bit going into halftime. And then, I think they kicked a field goal or something in the third quarter. And that was it for them. It was like everything was fine, even though it looked sloppy up until that point. And then they just took the foot off the gas altogether. And it didn't happen. Didn't work. They got to get it together for sure. But they got time, right? Quinn Ewers is what? He's a redshirt freshman, right?
Yeah, I mean, the dude went to college. He forewent a senior year of high school to go to college. So, I mean, the dude's young as it gets. So, yeah, like you said, they got time. But, like, Bijan's going to be a tough person to replace there. because he is a lot of that offense right now. You got Worthy, Xavier Worthy too, but both of those guys are huge. But yeah, Ewers has time, and we all know quarterback, most important position. Texas can recruit athletes. We do know Texas, no matter what, they'll have staying power in recruiting. So I don't think it's I think Texas fans are probably looking at this optimistically, as they should be, because not only do they have Ewers, but if everything holds pat, they also have Arch Manning waiting in the wings, who is supposed to be better than Ewers, which is hard to believe that they got two of the top quarterbacks ever. Waiting back. But that gives them time. That gives them a window of time. So,
yeah, absolutely, it does. They just, they have all the pieces. They just got to put it together into a winning team. All right, moving on. This will be okay. I mean, we don't really have to talk about Alabama against Mississippi State. 30-6. It's kind of what Alabama does,
started slow.
Right. They looked a lot better this week than they did last week.
Yeah.
All right. We'll move on then. Couple more games to get to here. We got TCU, Max Duggan. Talked about him last week, right? They do get the 10-point win over Adrian Martinez in Kansas State. It was a good battle between the two. But I think TCU, every now and then you'll see that team that, even though they don't have the top end talent, they catch fire in a bottle or lightning in a bottle, right? And they have the hype and the momentum, and it just drives them of just having a good time with a winning season. And I think that's really what TCU is enjoying, right? There was the win against Kansas because Kansas had it before they lost, right? And then, you got this game against Kansas State, and, Max Duggan he's leading this team, right? So they got Texas Tech next week, and then they're at Texas, at Baylor, and then they finish the year with Iowa State. Circle your calendars for November 12th when they play Texas. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. So actually, honestly, I think TCU got a lot of luck in this one. So Martinez went down, first straight away into the game. Wasn't able to return. He went through two passes. Then they brought in the backup, and then the backup got hurt. So they were down to their third string QB. And I mean, honestly, played all things considered. They got out early. They scored 21 points in the second quarter. But yeah, it's just TCU shut them out in the second half. TCU outscored them 21-0 in the second half. And Duggan, another great game. No interceptions, 3 touchdowns. It's just the kid's a stud. But I do think TCU loses that game if Martinez is healthy. Believe it or not, Martinez is not even thrown a single interception this year on K-State, which is really surprising. It's kind of what we talked about before with Scott Frost holding him back. But I do think with Martinez, they win that game by 2 scores. So yeah, Duggan's great. Don't get me wrong. TCU has been a really good surprise team. Well, not too much of a surprise, but I don't think we expect them to be this, especially after losing O'Shawn Mathis last year in the transfer portal. But yeah, I mean, credit to them. I mean, the things worked out the way they did. Kansas State got injuries. TCU took advantage. So I guess let's wait and see on TCU to see if they can keep us up.
Yeah. All right. So you talked a little bit about, surprise kind of thing. One thing that was not a surprise to you was Ole Miss being a fraud, right? Being overranked, being, not playing anyone. And it showed, as it pains me to say, as Jaden Daniels and the LSU Tigers went, received Ole Miss and just – they owned that second half. Scored 28 unanswered in the second half alone. Jaden Daniels, played exceptional, had 121 yards on the ground and 3 touchdowns, in addition to his almost 250 passing yards and 2 more touchdowns. No turnovers, no picks. I was very happy to see Jaden Daniels do what ASU recruited him to do. It was just sad to see not with ASU. But Jaden, if Jaden Daniels was with LSU this whole time, right, doing this, he would be in contention for one of those top quarterback draft positions. Because coming out of high school, they were saying, "Oh, Spencer Rattler, Jaden Daniels, those are going to be the 1A, 1B for first round draft pick when they're eligible." Well, both of them fell off because of college production. Yep. Spencer Rattler has looked terrible at South Carolina, despite the win against A&M yesterday. And Jaden Daniels, you could tell that Herm Edwards and ASU was just holding him back because he's going out here and he's absolutely balling with LSU. If I pull up his stats just real quick on the year, he's got 12 touchdowns, only 1 pick on the year, and that's not including his 500 rushing yards and 9 rushing touchdowns.
Yep.
So he's balling, absolutely balling. 6-2.
Yeah. Which is kind of, it was a thing out of when you came out of ASU, we didn't know who was the problem, right? And clearly, we now see the problem in line with ASU. It's very similar to the Adrian Martinez situation, right? Like he comes out last year, and I mean, he threw for 10 touchdowns, 10 picks. And then he's come out this year and he already has 12 touchdowns and 1 interception. So, he had 2,800 yards or 2,300 yards total last year. He's almost he'll get that in another 2 games, and honestly against much stiffer competition. So it's insane the amount, how well LSU's been able to use him to his strengths, and that similar to what you said, you just weren't using him what you recruited him to do. It's similar to Kyler Murray with the Arizona Cardinals. They're not using him what they drafted him to be, right? Mm-hmm. When you do that, it's a player's not going to be able to give you even half of their ability, because most of his, Jaden Daniels is one of those QBs too that he runs a lot to set up the pass, right? A lot of quarterbacks run. A lot of guys pass, and then they'll set up the run based on that. More often than not nowadays, quarterbacks who are dual threat are passing a little bit more to set up their runs, and then they're going to design runs and stuff like that. But the way college football is going right now, it is a lot of it's heavy pass. But Jaden Daniels is one of those players. He's got to be free flowing. You just got to let him go out there and make plays. He's an athlete. Just let him go out there, make plays, draw up, play to his strengths. It's kind of like what Baltimore has done so well with Lamar Jackson since drafting him. Design a system that works for him. LSU, again, has athletes. They're going to get top-rated recruits. That's just what they do. Just keep letting him go out there and be free-flowing and be himself. And I think ASU, he just seemed a little bit like he was trying to be somebody he wasn't out there. He was forcing throws, and he was trying too hard to go through his progressions and stay in the pocket. And I mean, I get that when you're in the NFL, but in the college realm, when you're that athletic, you can get away with kind of just letting the play break down and then, kind of ad-libbing on the play itself. And it's showing this year with LSU because Jaden Daniels is killing it. I will say I wanted to roast him just because he played for LSU, and I kind of wanted him to go. Actually, this almost makes it better. They just played better without them, But it seems like a Herm Edwards problem, not an ASU problem there.
Hey, and that's not an ASU problem anymore.
It's not a problem anymore.
I'm taking my licks this year. Lost to Stanford yesterday. A battle of the 2 and 4s going at it. Interesting stuff, right? Lost, I think, 16-14. It was abysmal. No, 15-14. I'm sorry. Stanford didn't even score a touchdown. They kicked 5 field goals and they got the win. But
let's talk about the Aggies next, if we can have one for just a quick second.
Go ahead.
So what I've been able to kind of say on here, what I've a lot of my Facebook friends Some of them are Aggie fans, and they don't take too kindly to the Aggie hatred, right? But here's what interests me about Texas A&M, right? Is they go to the SEC, right? So they think they're going to sun Texas. All of a sudden, they think they're just Texas. Sorry about that. I put my scar in the camera. They think they're going to sun Texas all of a sudden because they're in the SEC, right? Like we're in the big bad conference, blah, blah, blah. So then they get Jimbo. They got Jimbo rolling out there. They're starting to get some recruiting momentum. Okay, so everything is, Texas is, was bottom of the barrel. That's kind of how Texas A&M compares himself. They just always compare themselves to Texas. But what it's proven to us, they went out last year. They got this number one recruiting class ever of all time, right? Like all this pomp and circumstance for all these players. Jimbo's just fucking handing out stacks like nobody's business, buying cars, doing whatever he's doing. And they get this top recruiting class of all time. And I kind of said it before the season started, like, listen, I know a lot of people hate the transfer portal and take the transfer portal for what it's worth, but the transfer portal is almost lessening the effect of recruiting, right? Like you look at last year, Nebraska basically punted their recruiting class to go attack the transfer portal. And what that does is it's allowing people to go in and get proven talent, right? Proven talent that is on a situation they don't want to be in anymore. But these people have shown themselves, like Casey Thompson, for instance. I mean, you got, your Bo Nixes and all that, they're able to go in and they're getting proven players as opposed to these recruits. And what A&M did is they went all in on the recruiting. Well, the other side of the transfer portal is you can go out there and get all these top name recruits all day and all night. Well, now they have the ability to move without penalty, right? So Texas A&M has all these guys recruiting, but a commitment even before the transfer portal meant what? I mean, it was okay. Like it was like a fist pound and handshake, right? Like we'll see. It's even more so that now because you have all these 5 stars on A&M lobbying for time. They're not deep like Alabama, right? Like Alabama will have some of these 5 stars. They'll come in and they'll transfer, but they're 3 deep on the depth chart. Texas A&M doesn't have that. So what's going to happen when the going gets tough at Texas A&M? What else do they have to sell these kids on? It isn't a lot. It isn't history. It isn't anything like that. They got a good fan base and all that, but these kids are going to start moving away, especially if A&M can't stop being a forever 9-win at best team. Yeah. Okay, so for whatever Texas A&M had convinced themselves that they were with recruiting, they're not that. Just because the transfer portal, these kids are going to leave, right? And most schools are almost making recruiting a little bit, not of an afterthought, right? But it's a little bit lesser to the transfer portal, right? Which allowed, I think, Texas A&M to be able to go out and get all these kids and attack them the way they did. But they're destined to be what they are. Jimbo's not good. Texas A&M is not good. Texas A&M has never won. They never will win. They'll always be little brother to Texas. And yeah, I just don't think people realize like that with the recruiting class now, it means a lot less than it used to. And that's because, when the 2 deeps come out next year, let's say a couple of these 5 stars aren't on it. When the 2 deeps come out for next season, probably going to lose half last year's class, So it's one of those things that like Alabama's a blue blood. They can keep players coming in. They can hold them. They can sell them on tradition. They can sell them on this. You sell them on the winning. Texas A&M doesn't have that. So what is going to keep them there? So I just think a lot of people miss that when they look at Texas A&M and all the hoopla about the recruiting and stuff like that. So yeah, just a little note for my little Aggie friends out there.
Let me throw something your way, right?
All right, throw it.
Texas is 5-3.
Yeah.
TCU is 8-0.
Yeah.
Texas Tech is 4-3. And A&M is 3-4.
Honestly, they should be 2-5. If old boy doesn't try to launch himself from the 5-yard line into the end zone and come up 4 yards short and get the ball knocked out, they don't win that game. So they're a fool's gold 3 or 4 at that.
Yeah. It is. I just thought it was funny. You talked about them, unseating Texas as the premier Texas college football program. They're not even better than Texas Tech, record wise. It's A&M is pretty down bad. I have a good friend who lives in South Carolina who went to the game yesterday. He was all happy. He's going to Columbia, gets to see the Aggies play, and he texts me like very quickly, and he's like, "I am not having a good time." So it is what it is, but hey, we've seen this from A&M before, and
every year.
Yeah, it's A&M just has not been the same since Money Manziel and Mike Evans. You know what I mean? Like that was their peak. That was their peak, and they just hasn't done it since. All right,
that's the national championship. We beat Alabama that one time.
Yeah. But hey, whatever. What'd you do the rest of the year, right? But all right. So as far as the rest of the games go, I'm not really going to touch on them too much. I mean, Ohio State blew out Iowa, right? Nothing really out of the ordinary there. Wake Forest, Sam Hartman threw, I think, 5 or 6 touchdowns against Boston College in that rout. Penn State got back on track against Minnesota. Why? Because they weren't playing Michigan.
Right there, man.
Yeah.
Sean Clifford threw 4 touchdowns and 295 yards. Dude, that's a bad day. I mean, Mo Ibrahim had 102 for Minnesota, albeit on 30 carries, but like, I mean, if Sean Clifford's throwing for 295, 23 for 31, like you're gonna have a bad time because Sean Clifford's
terrible.
Dude, that dude is ass. Speaks. So a 92 QBR from Sean Clifford, bro. Hey, Nebraska plays Minnesota here pretty soon, so I'll take it. Make Casey look like a Heisman Trophy winner. That's all I worry about.
Yeah. Sean Clifford's so bad. And Penn State fans know he's bad. Good friend of the show.
He's in the YouTube chat. John Quinn?
Yep, John Quinn.
Yes, sir.
I think it was last year. Whenever a team would lose to Penn State, he would show me this meme that's literally just Sean Clifford's face and say, "You just lost to Sean Clifford." Like, it's a meme within the Penn State community.
He's a meme.
He's bad. Everyone knows he's bad. And you can't give up 300 passing yards and 4 touchdowns.
His face is a meme.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Were there any other games you wanted to touch on? That was really all I really have as far as college goes.
No, the Big Ten one was just that one. Outside of that one, I mean, Ohio State is phenomenal. CJ Stroud with a 286, 4 touchdowns, and honestly, I don't think Ohio State played that well, and they beat Iowa 54-10. Iowa's, dude, they are lost. I don't know what I was doing anymore. Like Iowa has always had a solid team as far as just pure fundamental football, like between the tackles, smash off the
fed.
Yeah. Can you not recruit a QB that's not legally blind in both eyes? Like, where are you getting these guys? Like, how can you just not find a single quarterback? Ferentz is terrible. Yeah, I mean, Spencer Petras Petras's QBR was 5.9, dude. He threw for 49 yards.
Yeah.
And completed 6 passes. I mean, it's just their offense is their offense is historically bad. I don't know what is. I mean, they were 1 for 13 on third down. I don't know what Iowa's offense is doing. I don't think they know what they're doing. I don't think the players know what's going on. Like everybody's just lost over there on the offense. They have a good defense. They had one, right? But this week they didn't. So they had one /have, but Ohio State can do that to people with good defenses. So,
Yeah.
10 points. I think Iowa's probably scored 10 points total this season, if I'm being honest, because they're that bad. But yeah, so Big Ten blowout there. Ohio State to me is the best team in the country. They should be number one. Georgia should not be ranked over them. I don't know why. Georgia's still ranked above them. SEC bias, actually. Yes, I do. SEC bias.
I think Georgia is proving themselves to still be one, if not the best team in the country. And I think until they show any sign of weakness, I think they're going to stay there.
They showed weakness against Missouri. And
yeah, but then you can argue Ohio State showed weakness against Notre Dame. Like,
all right, well, like one, look at, and then who else did Georgia play that they almost lost to? Was it like Georgia State? Who was it that they struggled with? I can't even remember.
I think I know the game you're talking about. They started slow.
Yeah, and they finished. I mean, they started basically paralyzed from the waist down and ended slow because
I think it was Kent State you were talking about.
Yeah, dude. Like, okay, so like Ohio State, first game of the season against Notre Dame, which at the time was this big top 10 marquee matchup. I mean, Ohio State handled business there, though, right? Like, Ohio State has not been scared once this year. Georgia's had a couple scares.
Georgia was definitely scared against Missouri. What I will say in Ohio State's favor is C.J. Stroud is putting up a tremendous year. If you look at his numbers, he already has 2,000 yards passing, and that's just in 8 games. He's got a 70% completion rating, 28 touchdowns, only 4 picks. The funniest stat I saw going into this week was that Iowa has 3 receivers with at least 3 catches, or with at least 5 catches on the year. And Ohio State has 3 receivers with at least 5 touchdown catches.
Yeah, that's absurd. I mean, they have nobody touches them as far as athletes go. Nobody.
And this is without Smith-Njigba doing his thing because he's still hurt.
He's the best receiver they got.
Marvin Harrison Jr. Hey, shout out to Pops for whatever training program he put him on.
Jackson Smith and Jigba, I still have nightmares about that guy last year when he had his coming out party that nobody saw and torched us for like 200-something yards. Because we thought we were doing okay because the Ohio State was missing their top receivers, and then the Smith and Jigba guy just comes in and torches us for 200 yards. We can't. I mean, we can't hold that man and stay with him. So, yeah. That dude's next level. And C.J. Stroud is the best quarterback in college football. It's not close.
I think as far as like stretched out consistency from year to year, CJ Stroud 100% longevity, everything. If there's anyone that is going to beat him for the Heisman just because of the hype that he's getting around him this year with his team, it's going to be Herndon Hooker. But that doesn't.
Hooker?
What?
Hendon Hooker?
Is it Hendon? Oh, okay, my bad. Yeah. Hooker. Yeah, from Tennessee, him. That doesn't mean I think he's a better quarterback than C.J. Stroud, but as far as the hype and the mad, you beat Alabama and, you're tossing 5-6 touchdowns here and there, like to go with it. I mean, you talked about the SEC bias, so I think that'll come into play. At this point in time, I think Hooker takes the Heisman, but that doesn't mean that C.J. Stroud doesn't go out in the college football playoff and throws 5 touchdowns and solidifies it then, right?
If he does, for me though, like if Hendon Hooker wins the Heisman, it's just because one school has turned around under one quarterback and the other school is just doing what they always do.
Right.
Which to me is getting it more to what the MVP is becoming in leagues. NBA doesn't go to the best player that year. It goes to the best story/player that year. It's, you don't see a whole lot of repeats of MVPs, even when they deserve to repeat as MVP, because you'll have, let's say Harden should have won back-to-back years, but here comes Giannis with this crazy season. And even though Harden had some better numbers, was more important to his team's success, and his team was more successful, Giannis was the big story. Okay, so it's media writers who do, the MVP awards and stuff like that. So it's going more towards that, if that's how it ends up working out. Because CJ Stroud, I mean, Hendon Hooker can't hold a candle to CJ Stroud, but it's a big university. It's a big turnaround, and they know what'll get them the attention, and that's if they give it a different look this year by going with somebody who's not Ohio State or not Bama, And I don't like that. I think it should go to the best player, which is CJ Stroud. And honestly, if I had to pick a second place, it'd be probably Bijan Robinson.
Okay. Yeah. To me, it's Stroud and Hooker, 1A, 1B for Heisman right now. But we will, we got a couple comments, John Quinn saying it's qualitative and not quantitative for MVP, Heisman, et cetera. And there is some truth to that. Obviously, you have to take into account the numbers, because numbers and stats are going to be people's biggest crutch when justifying their opinions on it, right? But there is the quality of their, like you said, their story of how they got to where they're at, right? You go all the way back to 2013, Manti Te'o, right? Had a tremendous senior season. He wasn't there because of his numbers as a middle linebacker, right? He was there because of the story that with everything that was going on that season. His girlfriend died. If you haven't watched the Netflix documentary, I recommend it. Like you said, it's the story that goes with the play on the field. It's the media writers, right? Like you look at Aaron Rodgers' MVP season last year, right? Just to switch gears a little bit. There was that one journalist that came out and said, "Oh, well, I'm an MVP voter, and because of Rodgers' vaccination status / I don't like him because I'm a Bears fan / whatever other opinion they had, he's saying I'm not voting for him." Well, you know what I mean? Like that's well, what are you doing as a allegedly unbiased, voter? If
John met his girlfriend, he said, by the way, John Quinn met his girlfriend, Manti Te'o.
You actually met the
non-existent one.
I doubt it. The non-existent one, or you met the person behind it?
I doubt he met an inanimate object. Maybe he did. Maybe it does mean that. I don't know. But knowing John, he meant the one that doesn't exist.
All right, moving. We're doing good on time here, so we can actually preview a little bit of some of the big matchups for college next week. Staying on with Ohio State, and of course Sean Clifford, right? Ohio State and Penn State battling it out, 9 a.m. Pacific time. To me, there's the numbers next to their names for the ranks. I still think Ohio State's going to kick the living daylights out of them.
It's not going to be close.
Yeah. Just kind of scrolling down through the slate here, right? Oklahoma State and Kansas State. Kansas State's going to drop as far as rankings go because of their loss. Do we need to start really paying attention to Oklahoma State? They're number 11 now. They just beat Texas. How far up in the ranks are they going to move? I mean, what are we talking about here?
I mean, honestly, of course, from last season, right? We know that they're good, right? I would like to see Adrian Martinez healthy next week.
Yeah.
Because I think when Adrian Martinez is healthy, I think K-State wins that game. But I mean, they are what they are. I mean, they're good. Again, we're just not putting them in the upper echelon of teams. But They're good. I mean, they did what they had to do against Texas is good. Okay, let's just be honest. It's a good Texas team. They will be top 10, of course, but I just don't think they're one of the 10 best teams in the country. But I've been wrong many times before. So we'll see. You know, I think they lost to TCU.
Yeah.
I think K-State's better than TCU. So if Adrian Martinez is healthy, I do think K-State wins that game. But credit where it's due, Oklahoma State is good. They give up a lot of points, though.
Yeah,
they do give up a lot of points. I think they.
Well, I mean that's the Big 12 in a nutshell, right? All offense, defense. So
you can only be so good when you're doing that. The big one is against Baylor, of course. But yeah, I mean, we'll see what they got next week. I'm hoping Martinez is healthy so we can really, really test that. But Oklahoma State's good.
Absolutely. All right, let's switch over to the NFL. Let's get into it here, right? We had a disgusting high scoring game. We got John Quinn saying the opening spread for Ohio State. Last note on that: Ohio State is minus 13.5.
It's about right.
If you're a betting man, I'm smashing that. All right.
Yeah, I would say 2 touchdowns is fair. That's about what I was expecting it to be.
Yeah.
Are they at Ohio State?
No, they're at Happy Valley.
That might be the only thing that keeps it from getting completely out of hand.
Yeah. I mean, you know, that environment, that atmosphere, I think people don't give Penn State enough credit with, you know, with the whiteout games and Happy Valley. Like that, it can get rocking.
Yeah. And Sean Clifford's their quarterback still. So, I mean, that's really like
elite.
The dude, yeah. So, like, we know we talked about him already, but like, how well can they play Ohio State with Sean Clifford at quarterback?
Yeah. Okay. Moving. Yeah. Let's transition over to the NFL here, right?
We'll talk baseball in a second, John Quinn. His fills.
We had a pretty disgusting Thursday night game. I know it finally hit the over, which is something that primetime matchups have been lacking severely this year. But we had a pretty disgusting game. Arizona against New Orleans, 42-34. Andy Dalton had, 3 picks that game? There was a pretty funny GIF meme clip of Andy Dalton looking disgusted as the Cardinal defender was diving into the end zone behind him.
That was all-time classic right there.
It was. Just because of like how far out the defender started to dive.
Yeah.
And so he's flying
and the
through the air.
On his it was great.
But all right, let's get into it here. Let's start because we do have time. We can really take this here and we can go through it. Let's start with Atlanta at Cincinnati. Atlanta has looked surprisingly competitive. Marcus Mariota has looked the best that he's looked in years. Dare I say?
1 second. I don't want to interrupt. Sorry.
Oh.
Do you want to talk on anything on that Arizona-New Orleans game first? I got things to say.
Okay, go ahead. I have nothing to say. It was gross to watch. I didn't have a good time watching it. So go ahead.
I got things to say, Cheney.
Go, please take it away. Talk all the shit on all the Saints fans. Talk shit on all the Cardinals fans. Yeah,
Saints fans, you're. I think you might be in the clear here a little bit. Let's just reality check over to the Arizona Cardinals fans here for a second. Listen. Just a reality check for them, okay? Kyler Murray, okay. Kyler Murray's terrible. I don't know what y'all do to convince yourself every week that it's everybody else's fault but his. They won that game, and Kyler Murray was bad, and the only reason that they won that game was because Andy Dalton was worse, and he gave up 14 points within a minute right before half, and they still almost – I mean, you have a quarterback that runs the football, and you still almost could not run the clock out in time to get out of there with a win. Kyler Murray, 204 yards. You know, you see a 42-34 score, you're thinking, okay, 204 yards, 1 touchdown. He's bad. I mean, you look at some of the plays he makes. The dude stood on his tippy toes and almost like did a little like a little hop jump pass to get it over his lineman. It still got batted down the line. I mean, Kyler Murray is not anybody who he cannot go through his progressions. And I know everybody was like, oh, D-Hop gets back and it'll save this offense. No, what D-Hop being there does is it makes Kyler Murray be a one-read quarterback even more than he already is. For perspective, there were 29 total targets for everybody on the team. Okay, 29 combined, 14 were to D-Hop. Okay, so 14 targets for D-Hop. Everybody else on the team combined 15. Okay. He is locking in on DeAndre Hopkins, and when that read is not there, he panics. He had 2 targets to Keontae Ingram, who I also said, if you're in a dynasty league, go pick him up. You should have. When I told you last week on the episode that didn't air, so you didn't even hear it. Still should have done anyways. Ertz, Benjamin. Okay, those are checkdowns. I mean, let's be honest. 6 of those are checkdowns. I mean, the dude is not good. A good quarterback is somebody who can stay in the pocket, step up in the pocket, and make a play. Go through a couple reads. If he rolls out, keep his eyes downfield, but still be able to read the field. Kyler Murray relies on broken plays. He's still running this like it's college, and he hasn't learned to be an adult quarterback in the NFL. He has a college mindset still. He's over there fighting with his coach on the sideline. I mean, there'll be times where you're literally in a position where you're just like, don't take a sack. He runs 10 yards back and around and nets 3 yards back, total loss of 7. He's not good. And Cardinals fans, I'm sorry. I hate to break it to you, but you extended him. He's not good. It's just time to face reality. Stop blaming everybody else but Kyler. There's one common denominator here at Kyler. He's not tall. He's not tall enough to see over the line. He's not good enough to go through his reads. He locks in on D-Hop. When everybody gets locked in on D-Hop defensively, what's he going to do? He's going to go back to what he was doing before. Now you ain't going to score no touchdowns. Credit to your defense for winning that game for you. That's all I got to say. Your defense won that game for you. Point blank, period. Your quarterback's not good. I'm sorry. It just is what it is. It's okay. Listen, I know I'm an asshole, but
my turn. Saints fans, you're not safe. I've decided to go in.
I'm gonna rotate.
Okay. The Saints are awful. And this is coming from someone who I thought you guys were winning the division this year. I thought you guys were going to take it from the Buccaneers. And holy shit, have I not been more wrong. It's not even a matter of quarterback play either, right? Like that first pick 6 by Andy Dalton, right? That should not have been a pick. It hit Marquez Callaway in the fucking face, and it bounced behind him. Should not have been a pick. The pick he threw in the end zone, yes, that was a bad throw. He tried to thread the needle. Andy Dalton, you're like not the red rifle anymore. You're like the red BB gun. But even with 3 picks, right, Andy Dalton still only has 4 picks on the year. That was 3 of those 4. Like, he's not playing terrible. However, let's talk about Alvin Kamara, right? 5 games played, no rushing touchdowns. Has a fumble, no rushing touchdowns. Has 24 receptions, no receiving touchdowns. What the fuck, man? Michael Thomas had 2 touchdowns in that season opener. He's played 3 games this year. What happened to this man? Did he sell his soul for that 1 year of record-breaking prowess and then just, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know what's going on there. Jarvis Landry's only been out there for 4 games. You're looking at a team where Juwan Johnson is your 3rd leading receiver.
Yeah.
Great.
And to my buddy Derek, he's he's a Saints fan. He said in the Facebook chat, Landry out, Thomas out, Saints secondary had all rookies and backups in. And, his point is they need a QB. And, again, all of those things, and they still almost went in there and beat Arizona. With everything going against them in the game on the game script.
Well,
but he's right.
It's
terrible. Like you have Dalton and
the Saints should have won that
Taysom
game.
Hill.
The Saints should have won that game, and you saw it in the second half when the Saints finally turned it on. Right? There was the two pick sixes. The second one by Isaiah Simmons. That was. Andy Dalton probably shouldn't have thrown that, but it wasn't like it was right to Isaiah Simmons, right? That was Isaiah Simmons going one way, reaching back, and one-handing a fucking ball out of the middle of the air.
They should have played Isaiah Simmons more all season. I don't know what they're doing.
They drafted him to be that athletic linebacker hybrid, right?
You can do that from the sideline.
Yeah. He's an athletic specimen. I don't understand it. But it is what it is. The Saints, I see flashes of what they can do. I see it. But I don't think they see it. It's like they're throwing darts at a dartboard hoping something sticks. And even when something does stick, they, apart from Taysom Hill, running a quarterback draw, which they don't even do anything to hide, by the way. You see Taysom Hill out there taking a shotgun snap, it's a fucking draw play.
Try to stop it.
Nobody has, and that's like the only thing that has consistently worked for the Saints all season long. They need to get it together.
Yep.
I mean, they have the Raiders next week, so there's a chance there. Then you got the Ravens on Sunday Night Football or Monday Night Football. Kind of have a tough schedule. I'm not gonna lie. As I'm looking at the rest of their schedule here, they got the Raiders, which is fine, but then you have the Ravens. Then you get a little break with the Steelers. Then you play the Rams. Then you play the 49ers. I don't know what the 49ers are going to be. We'll get to them in a minute.
Yeah.
Then you have the Buccaneers. Then you have the Falcons, who we talked about have been surprisingly, competitive.
But bad at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. They're bad, but they're good. I don't know. They're a cover machine, right? They're undefeated against the spread this year. FYI.
Hey, good teams cover.
Yep, absolutely. So I don't know what that is, but Saints, you need to get it together. You're 2-5 on the year. I know they're playing bad, but they're not a 2-5 team.
Saints. What we're telling you, Saints fan, what we're telling you is there's a chance. Cardinals fans, what we're telling you is it's over. Just back it in. It's as good as it gets right here. As long as you have little old fiddlesticks legs back there trying to scramble around the pocket, running like a upright 3-year-old toddler who needs to go use the bathroom. Yeah, this is
my favorite comparison is him running with scissors.
Yeah,
the little toddler.
Exactly. Yeah, it's as good as it gets for you. I'm sorry. D-Hop he's not saving you. All he's doing is he's making Kyler Murray more one-dimensional. So, and if you even noticed his ability to break the play down and move out of the pocket was delayed. It's almost like he was waiting for D-Hop to get open, and by the time he would go to get out of the pocket, it was too late. It collapsed on him. You put some contains on Kyler Murray, he's mediocre at best.
Yep. All right. So we kind of went off on a little tangent there.
Sorry.
But nope, that's good. That's good. That's what we're here for. Let's go back to Atlanta and Cincinnati. Atlanta, I'll throw them in here as my lock of the week, actually. I got Falcons plus 6.5. They have been mad competitive all year long. I don't even think Cincinnati hasn't actually 4 quarters blown someone out, So I know Burrow's coming back now. Chase is, finally getting it going. T. Higgins is healthy with his ankle after a couple weeks.
Yep. Finally, full participant in a Wednesday practice. So
Yep, he should be good to go this week. Good, happy for it. But Marcus Mariota, love it. Let's talk a little bit about it. My Pac-12 time to shine right here. Marcus Mariota has looked tremendous, and this is like the Falcons it's almost like where talented players that have had ups and downs in their careers, that's where they go to finally revitalize it, right? You saw it with Cordero Patterson last year and this year. You're seeing it with Marcus Mariota now. I love it. Marcus Mariota, please don't make me eat my words. Take me to the promised land, plus 6.5, run for a touchdown, pass for 2 more. Just keep it simple. That's really what the Falcons need to do. Just keep it simple and let their athletes really play.
Yeah. I could see that, the 6.5. The Falcons, their offense is basically like, it's a run first offense, right? They run the ball 52% of the time, but they're not running with a lot of efficiency right now. They're passing the ball well, but if they can get the ground game going just a little bit, because right now they're 23rd ranked offense as far as the power rankings go. They have to get that run game going, and I feel like they just need to pick a back and try to stick with them, right? We're rotating Huntley, we're rotating Algier.
Yeah.
For the sake of my dynasty league, just let it be Algier. Run the ball, mix it up with the Mariota runs a little bit more, and then set up the pass. It's to me, watching them, it's almost like they're running the ball, yes, but as soon as the run gets stopped, they're dropping it back and passing. That they need to start being a little bit more creative, like they were with Cordero Patterson in there. Like, it's just, I think without Cordero, it was a bit of just, what do we do now? And I think you can still run that similar offense, but just with Huntley and Algier, But I would not be surprised because if they cover, because like you said, the Bengals haven't been world beaters. We'll see what T looks like off the ankle. T Higgins, when he's out there, and not a game time decision, he's been exceptional his whole career. It's these game time decision games where he's really been struggling. So, I can definitely see them covering because that's all they do is cover.
Right.
To be honest, they haven't not covered all season, so it's hard to bet against them right now when it comes to the spread.
Okay, moving on to the Detroit Lions off of their bye week against the Dak Prescott is back Dallas Cowboys at Jerry's World. Man, I want nothing more than this game to be a Big 12 game. I want no defense. I want all the offense. Give me DeAndre Swift. I don't believe is playing this today. Actually, give me all the Amon-Ra St. Brown. Give me all the even Josh Reynolds. Give me the T.J. Hawkinson. Give me that's what that offense is, right?
God, Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Exactly. And then on the other side of the ball, right? You have your the money you're paying to your quarterback. He's back. Right? Yep. You didn't rush him back, which is good. He's been taking his time, and the world's a better place when Dak Prescott puts up fantasy numbers. Not necessarily the Cowboys winning, but Dak Prescott is a great fantasy quarterback. Very similar to what we used to say about Tony Romo, right? Tony Romo was one of the best fantasy quarterbacks. And Dak Prescott is a top 10 fantasy quarterback.
Even when they're bad, he was king garbage time.
Yeah, exactly. And I want this entire game to be 4 quarters of garbage time. That's exactly what I want. Because that's the type of football the Detroit Lions play, and that's the type of football I want the Dallas Cowboys to play.
Absolutely.
What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so Dak coming back is huge. Cooper Rush was fun while it lasted. That whole little drama everybody tried to create. Is there a QB controversy? No, there's no QB controversy. There never was, and never will be between Cooper Rush and Dak. Dak is good. Dak is going to turn that offense around. I mean, credit to the Cowboys. They have the fourth hardest strength of schedule so far played. And they held afloat 4-2. Listen, Cowboys fans, I hate them. You know this. All right, I'm trying to be nice. All right, so just I'm not being disingenuous. I'm trying to give you a realistic take. Okay. I think they're good this year, and it pains me to say that. But Dak being back is very good for my fantasy team because I got CeeDee Lamb. So, but yeah, he just brings another dimension to that offense. A lot of times Cooper Rush back there was guessing, and then he'd have a wide open guy and just miss the throw, or he'd be a half step late getting the throw off, and he would get hit as he was throwing the football. Again, maybe if Dallas could figure it out and realize that they could run Tony Pollard a lot more than they do, that would have helped. But yeah, Cooper Rush, the ceiling was limited there to what you saw. I am expecting Dak to have a good game. CeeDee Lamb's going to go off. I think Dak and CeeDee Lamb connection is going to be just flying off the handle. You got to give Goff credit at the same time. I feel like Goff is going to really, if Goff has time in the pocket, he's got the best pass rating in the league, or one of the best pass ratings in the league. Dak, we're just going to see what he's like coming back from injury. But again, to me, Dak at 90% is better than Cooper Rush at 125%. It's just not even close. Dak's going to bring that other element of like, hey, I'm a big body. I can run the football. Everything's just going to flow so much more easier. I don't think people realized how big of a loss Dak was to them. And, I expect, Lions, of course, we know what their defense is. It's going to be – I expect it to be it's going to be a shootout in terms of like a Cowboys shootout. Their defense is still solid. I think Detroit will make some stops because of the growing pains that they may have first, just getting Dak back in the offense.
Yeah.
One thing that really hurt me is I wanted Jameson Williams to be back for the Lions, but his timetable is still yet to be determined. They said he was supposed to come back after the bye week. Last week was bye week, so still no Jameson Williams. People, don't forget about Jameson Williams. He's not played this year. He was a first-round draft pick. He is another addition to that offense that's going to make that offense go even more insane. No Jameson Williams, and then Swift is out. So pretty sure Swift is still out. But you got a backup in Williams who's the 16th ranked fantasy running back anyways. So they go for it's an elite. It's still another elite guy waiting on the wing. So, yeah, give me the Cowboys in that one. Actually, I was going to take them the -6.5.
Yep.
So give me the Cowboys in that one -6.5. That was one of my plays of the week. Detroit is 3-2 against the spread. The Cowboys are 4-2, but yeah, I expect them to click pretty quickly with this. This is a great defense for Dak to come back against.
Yeah. And the last thing I'll say on it is the Cowboys need to call the same exact game with Dak that they did with Cooper Rush. And what I mean by this is that when you had Dak in at quarterback, right, there was no flow. There was no flow to the play calling. It was all put it in Dak's hands, make him do everything. But then you saw Cooper Rush come in, and it was, okay, hand the ball off to Zeke, give it to Tony Pollard, get the swing passes, the screens, and then set things up for, a deeper post or a deeper out to CeeDee Lamb or a crossing route over to Michael Gallup, stuff like that. I don't want Dak to come back and then just make him throw the ball 60 times again, because that's what it was beforehand, and that's what it doesn't work. That's when the defense, it's an easy job on the defense because they can just fall back into coverage. They can basically be in a nickel and dime set all game long. And so they need to avoid getting into that. They need to just call the play. They need to call the plays as if Cooper Rush was still in there, because that right there is what made Dak Prescott jump into the league, because they didn't know what he could do. So if you remember his rookie season, he played tremendous because it wasn't all on him to make the plays. It was a team-oriented play call, and that's what they need to stay with. A couple comments here on the YouTube channel just talking about Jared Goff here. We have Mr. Gabe Lamelli saying Goff may be the second half MVP this season. He is slinging the ball. I don't agree with the MVP comment, but if the NFL had like a most improved player award, kind of like how the NBA does, Goff is the front runner.
Yeah.
For sure. And then John Quinn saying that the Lions are the 2021 Nebraska Cornhuskers.
Hey, listen. Hey, don't come at me like that, bro. So it's the reverse, but you are correct. It is the reverse. Nebraska was all defense, no offense. So it's I mean, you put those two teams together, you got a really good team. So
yeah. All right. Let's move on here. We have a game that, if you talked about it before the season.
Oh, one more. I'm sorry. I had one more bet on that game that I want to throw in there.
Yes.
Hammer, CeeDee Lamb, over 6.5 receptions. I mean, the dude's getting targeted 10 plus times a game. 6.5 receptions is going to be. It's going to be. He's got a competent quarterback throwing the ball. He's still getting damn near 6 receptions a game. Go get that.
Yeah,
I mean, they even been using him on these short little swing passes too. Just nail the over 6.5 receptions. Go win some money.
Yeah, I agree. For me, this game, I'm really drawn to the over. Just because, the Lions are one of the top scoring teams in the game. Well, they were before they got shut out by the New England Patriots, 29-0. But, there's no defense on the Detroit Lions. And I think it's just because they spent so much time the past couple of years building their offense that it's going to take them time, and they need to build that defense now. Okay. Moving on. Again, if you talked about this game before the season, this might have had a little more weight to it. The Indianapolis Colts are taking on the Tennessee Titans. Both teams have been just disgusting to watch. I don't know if you've actually sat through any Titans games this year, or any Colts games really.
Unfortunately,
prime time. But I don't know what the fuck's going on. To me, the Titans are going to win this game, as much as everyone wants to say the Colts, just because Jonathan Taylor's back, and stuff like that. But you look at what they've done, and it's like Frank Reich has lost.
My apologies, Gunner. There's nothing there, I promise you.
Hi, lady.
Momentarily.
You're good. What I was saying was that Frank Reich has basically lost the ability to call a football game. It looks so different than what Carson, at least with Carson Wentz last year, right? There were some bad miscues and stuff. But if you look at the stats, Carson Wentz had a good season at quarterback last year. And that's with the same exact O-line that they had last year. That's with Jonathan Taylor doing his thing, finishing as the fantasy RB1. Michael Pittman really stepped up. And Michael Pittman has stepped up this year, but it's not out of a natural flow of the game. It's Matt Ryan throwing the ball 40, 50 times. Last week, you saw, I forget his name, Deion Jackson, I think, was the running back that started for him. Dude had 14 targets out of the backfield. And I guess for fantasy owners, if you have Jonathan Taylor, you're hoping that's what happens today, because his ability to get through the line into the second level of the defense and into the secondary, it's just not there this year. The O-line is not getting the same push. They're being made look like they're a college team going up against a pro team. And it doesn't matter what team they are playing. That's just how it's been all season long. So give me the Titans here. Not because the Titans are some overpowered, team, but because the Colts just don't have it together. You're still muted.
Sorry, my dogs are assholes. So, here we are, and they're probably going to start barking again. Hopefully not. But yeah, it's so tough. I think I'm going to pick the Colts.
Okay.
And then it's not a confident pick at all. That's me saying in my mind real quick, which one pops in my head first? Okay, Colts. No, I think it's just because they get the best player on the field. Honestly. Yeah, Tennessee offensively, Robert Woods is their only weapon right now with Treylon Burks out with turf toe. It's like, what do they got on offense going for them right now? I mean, of course, they have Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry is what he is. Tannehill's back of the barrel as far as the NFL goes. The defense for the Titans it's not good. I mean, it's you got Kevin Byard, who's the 51st ranked safety right now, as far as PFF goes. Like, they have an okay defensive line, but yeah, I mean, it's really solely based on the fact that the Colts are going to have the best player on the field, and I don't know Tennessee's identity right now. I don't think they know their identity. Derrick Henry's getting the ball rolling though. But will they be able to, let's say they do get behind? That's the only thing that worries me about Tennessee is, like, they're one-dimensional, right? What are they going to do when they have to start playing from behind? But the problem with the Colts is they've been notoriously off to bad starts. They came out against us and got down, 3 touchdowns? Gunner, stop eating plastic. Can't deal with this. Yeah. They came out to us and got down by 3 touchdowns. Jeffrey Simmons on Tennessee's defensive line, though, very, very good. Very underrated. His pass rush grade, he's insane as a pass rusher, good on the run stop. So Jeffrey Simmons is a good thing for them, and he's the best player that any team's going to have defensively. But yeah, give me the Colts just solely based on the fact that they get the best player on the field.
All right. Yeah, I'm not going to spend too much time on this game just because of what it is, really. It seems you and I are both kind of whatever. But, yeah, okay. Let's move on here. We got the Green Bay Packers going up against the Washington Commanders. They're at FedEx Field, so let's just hope that no quarterback breaks their tibia, whatever, this game. Green Bay has had a rough couple weeks. I'm holding on to a slim piece of hope, thinking, okay, maybe it's not Green Bay's bad. Maybe it's the Giants are actually good, or the Jets are actually, good. Like, Giants are 5-1, Jets are 4-2. On paper, that doesn't sound like, a huge disappointment to lose to, right? Green Bay's 3-3, so obviously there are worse records to be had in the NFL. But this offense, I'm talking about play calling a lot today. I don't know what the hell this play call is. I've seen it multiple times this year, where they start quick passes, running the ball, jet sweeps, zone, little zone runs, stuff like that with Aaron Jones, and then they bulldoze AJ Dillon right up the middle, and it works. You're moving the ball downfield, you're methodically moving the chains, all that stuff. And then you come out in the second half and it's 3rd and 1 and you try and throw the ball 30 yards.
Yep.
And I don't understand it. And then the worse that goes, the more they start to abandon the run game altogether. And look, Romeo Doubs, I think, is going to be a good receiver, but he's not it right now. Why? Because this is his, 7th career game?
Yeah.
Like, you got to give him time. Same with most rookies, right? Obviously,
Green.
there are some exceptions. But for most rookies, you have to give them time to get used to the NFL. You have to give them time to get used to their new system, their quarterback, all that stuff.
Yep.
The speed from college to NFL is immensely different. And you always hear about players talking about that. So Allen Lazard, I think, is a good fantasy play this week. Green Bay did activate Sammy Watkins back off of injured reserve. So, I mean, maybe now that you have a couple of little veteran presence back out on the field receiver-wise, maybe it gives Aaron Rodgers a little bit more, flexibility as far as where he can go with the ball. But my only hope right now is Washington is bad. Carson Wentz is out. Taylor Heineke's in. But even then, Green Bay does not do well against rushing quarterbacks. You saw it last year against the Ravens when, what was his name, Tyler Huntley?
Yeah.
Came in, and he almost beat Green Bay. And that was when Green Bay was good. So I still have Green Bay winning this game just because I have hopes.
You're a Packers fan.
Two, you're never going to hear me come on here and say that Green Bay is going to lose this game. And 3, Washington is fucking terrible. So,
Good
point to Green Bay.
Good point. Both teams are 2-4 against the spread, by the way. So this one is, good luck betting this one. But I agree with the fact that the Commanders are just so bad. I hate calling them that they're just so bad. Defensively, they're top 10 at least. But the offense is just so terrible. It's like they can't manufacture enough points to really, to me, stand a chance in this game. It's hard to win if you don't score. And to me, I have not been able to see them score with any regularity. Offensively, it's just, Terry McLaurin is what we thought he was going to be. Right now, he's just that name, right? Mm-hmm. He's mediocre, 57th in the league as far as receiver rankings go. You got McKissick, and then you got the rookie, but he's going to be limited. There's just nothing to grab hold of on this fucking Washington offense. There's nothing to be anywhat afraid of. Like you said, you can stretch and maybe talk to the matchup. I don't know. To me, this is the Packers easy. Sammy Watkins. When you started the season, if you would have told me that Sammy Watkins was going to be their highest graded receiver, I would have thought you were lying. And
let's put the brakes on that because he only played 2 games. But yeah, but Allen Lazard, as far as over more time, Allen Lazard's right there. They're neck and neck. Right. But Lazard's coming out of the slot though, right?
No, actually, they're putting Romeo Doubs and Christian Watson out the slot more often than not. Okay, so Lazard on the outside. Okay, so that'll open up more opportunities then. Yeah. That's a smart move because Lazard's your best receiver right now as far as consistency goes and doing it. Like you said, Doubs he's gonna get there, but he's so green, he's so raw right now. The only things that Washington is going for them, Montez Sweat.
Yep.
We know what he is. Great on that line.
Yep.
And then Cameron Curl, their safety. That's what they got on the entire team. So it's up to those 2 players. Also they have Jonathan Allen too, but as far as just elite talents go, That's all they got. To me, give me Rodgers. Again, another situation, two bad teams. I'm taking the best player on the field. Give me Aaron Rodgers.
Yep.
In the Packers.
Okay, so let's kind of fly through the rest of the morning games here just so we can save some time.
Yep.
Tampa Bay is going to decimate Carolina. Carolina traded away their best offensive piece they've had in the last decade. Yeah.
City over under in that?
No.
It's like 39.5.
Oh my.
It's so low.
Yikes. Give me Tampa. Give me the over. Give me Tom Brady 2 touchdowns. Yeah. Give me all that stuff. I want to say Jeremy Chin is still hurt for Carolina, and he is like the glue that holds that defense together. So I
think he's out.
By the way, I don't know if you saw. I just glanced at it this morning. The Panthers turned down a multiple first-round pick offer for Brian Burns, their DN. I don't know why, because I thought, hey, they trade Robbie Anderson, they trade Christian McCaffrey,
right?
It's a fire sale. Get all the picks you can, trade DJ Moore, trade Brian Burns. Get all the picks you can so you can just build. But apparently they're picking and choosing when. So it didn't say what team offered it, but to me, first-round picks are first-round picks, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. Do you have anything to say, or are we moving on to the next game?
No. I mean, Burns is 24, but that rebuild's going to take a while. So, I mean, why not just continue the sale and stock up on picks and just start losing? What I said on last week's episode, I'll repeat it because it wasn't posted, is the Bucks, right? Last week, one of the most intriguing games to me was the Bucks Steelers. And the reason I said that is because that was going to tell us who the Bucks really were. And it showed us the Bucks are a long way away from where they thought they should be. It is hard for me to bet on them with any confidence, but it's Carolina. I will say one thing that makes me want to root for Carolina is that the Houston Roughnecks all-time great
PJ
of the XFL, the greatest quarterback to ever play in the XFL in the year 2020. PJ Walker is the quarterback. So give me all the PJ Walker stock. If he throws for 300, you heard it here first. PJ Walker is goated. He's basically better than Patrick Mahomes. So
okay.
Give me PJ.
Yeah. How many XFL MVPs does Patrick Mahomes have? Right? Zero. Exactly.
And no touchdowns.
Exactly.
PJ Walker for the win.
Moving on here to a game that actually, we talked about the Colts and Titans before the season would have been a lot more exciting. How about a game that is a lot more exciting now than it would have been prior to the season? The New York Giants and the Jacksonville Jaguars. These are teams that they're actually fun to watch. Saquon Barkley's back. I believe the NFL is a much better place when Saquon Barkley is healthy and producing. Trevor Lawrence I think he's taking a great leap forward into year 2 with Doug Peterson. You have Etienne and James Robinson both, doing their thing in the backfield. Christian Kirk, he caught a touchdown last week. But even then, you got Zay Jones, who's actually putting up decent numbers. Evan Ingram is kind of revitalizing himself out of the tight end position. Defensively, they're even doing their own, Josh Allen, it feels bad to say that, the second best Josh Allen in the league. Josh Allen is a good defensive player. He's a good pass rusher. He's a good pass coverage guy. So I'm not saying watch out for the Jacksonville Jaguars, but that division is wide open, and the Jags are a couple wins away from really breaking out into the forefront of that division.
Yeah, agreed. Trevor Lawrence, started the season hot, kind of faded a little bit, and then now he's picking it back up.
Yep.
Similar to what you said, Zay Jones, best receiver they got right now. Then you have, not to be confused with Marvin Jones Jr., who's him and Christian Kirk. You know, Christian Kirk was the clear one, but it's looking like Zay Jones might kind of be able to take that. But like, Christian Kirk, he came out as like a wide receiver one fantasy and everything, and everybody was kind of dead set on him. And I feel like people have fallen off of Christian Kirk a lot. So maybe Zay Jones coming to the forefront will open up Christian Kirk a little bit more. But yeah, Lawrence is making throws. He's making plays. He's making throws. Outside of when the Texans exposed him and he scored 0 points, by that vaunted Texans defense, just terrifying unit we have there. But yeah, and you got to look at the safeties for the Giants. They're not good. Linebackers are weak. Like you said, they have defensively for the Giants, they have Dexter Lawrence, and then the Jaguars have Josh Allen. Their defensive line and their cornerbacks in New York are kind of what they're going to be on defense, but their safeties are easy to beat over the top. And if you know, they can get creative in Jacksonville with the play calling, get some of these guys open deep, and really create some confusion back there, even in the second level with the linebackers. I mean, you know, you got Tay Crowder, and Tay Crowder is, he is Tay Crowder. That is for sure. Not good. Yeah, the Giants are going to have to get pressure on. They're going to have to stop the run. You know, even though Lawrence is great on that line, he's a better pass rusher than he is as a run defender. But if they could stack that, they're going to have to get pressure on Lawrence. That's the only way that they're going to win this game. If they give Lawrence time to sit back there and make plays, he's going to pick that secondary and that defense apart. Again, they got their top two corners, which are solid, but outside of that, in the second level, there's not a whole lot out there. And then with the Giants, Saquon, you know, they're going to go as far as Saquon will take him. Daniel Jones, not good. You will not convince me otherwise. Daniel Jones is not good.
Not good.
You have again David Seals out there. What I said last week is still true. Go get Wan'Dale Robinson in fantasy leagues.
Yeah.
He got 23% of the snaps last week and had the most targets on the team, got a touchdown, and they're using him in so many ways in the red zone. He is constantly, when they're in the red zone, Wan'Dale Robinson is constantly in motion. And what he's doing is he's coming across the line, he's creating confusion. And what it's going to end up doing is he's going to be able to take the handoffs. He's going to be able to take these shovel passes. He's going to be able to swing out wide and catch touchdowns, which is where his touchdown came off of last week. That is where the difference is going to be made in the Giants offense, right? If they can start creating plays off of those motions and not just rely on Saquon, they can then maybe come back and create a second gear. But their 5-1 record is very deceiving. Yeah, give me Jacksonville, but also, again, go pick up Wan'Dale. Yeah, give me Jacksonville. Barkley's going to go off. Daniel Jones is going to throw a couple picks, and it's going to be all she wrote.
Yep. All right, I'm gonna feed you a couple rapid fire here. Little quick 30-second blurbs, just so we can get out of here on time to place all the bets we want and make sure our fantasy lineups are good to go. Cleveland and Baltimore. What do you got?
Baltimore. Are we talking spreads?
Up to you. Interpret away.
Baltimore minus 6.5. Give me Baltimore to win. Give me Cleveland to cover.
Yeah, I like Cleveland to cover, definitely. Baltimore they haven't been, like, they've looked good, but they haven't been able to pull away from anyone. And they've blown leads multiple times this year. So give me Cleveland to cover. I like that. Jacoby Brissett has actually looked competent as a quarterback.
Yep.
And then you got Nick Chubb back there doing it. Doing his thing.
Go ahead. What is it?
Oh no, I was just clearing my throat. Go ahead.
No. So finish up with this. Afterwards, Martin's got a question about fantasy. So yeah, you got any other quick hitters we can go through?
Not in this game. Give me Jets, Denver. Give me the Jets for lack of production on Denver. What's your thoughts?
Jets. Spread's -2.5. Denver might be better off without Russell Wilson on the field, so we'll see. Give me the Jets. Breece Hall's taking over. It's Breece Hall's world, and we're living in it.
Yep. Your Houston Texans at the Las Vegas Raiders. You can spend a little bit more time on this one just because I know that's your squad. We spent a lot of time on the Packers, so go ahead.
Yeah. Texans, yeah. Jonathan Grenard went on the IR. Not great, but also, we're not really great anyways. Defensively, we got a good pass defense. We play hard, but our pass defense is very contrary to what everybody thinks. We're not just completely horrible. We build our defense from the back up. Pass defense is good. I think 7 is a bit of a wide spread, even though we're bad. But the Raiders aren't world beaters. Give me the Raiders to win, and I think we battle, and I think we cover. Dameon Pierce is going to be getting, more touches. He's slowly getting more and more touches, getting more and more utilized in the passing game. We just got to stop Jacobs. We have a bad run defense, and that's what it's going to come down to. If we can't stop Jacobs, it's going to be a long night, but I'm just going to give us a little unbiased, completely biased opinion here. Slow Jacobs down. I think our secondary can stop Carr. I'll take us to cover. I'll take the Raiders to win.
Okay. Yep. Easy day. Little rapid fire here. Seattle at Los Angeles.
The
Chargers.
Yeah, give me the over. No, I'm just playing. Any game Seattle's in, dude, give me the over. Chargers have been a little bit banged up. -5 for them. They're 4-2 against the spread, but they were, as of last week, they were 4-1. So they kind of lost that bet for me last week. But give me Seattle. Give me Seattle to win, and give me Seattle to cover.
I was thinking maybe sprinkle a little alternate spread, like Chargers -2.5 maybe. I don't know if I agree with the full 5 points. But yeah, I think it's going to come down to Herbert's health. What's going on with his ribs hasn't really looked right. There was the whole meme thing about him not throwing a touchdown last week in the sports books. Getting the boost and all that stuff. So yeah, but
Kenneth Walker too.
Yep,
utilize him in the right ways.
Yep,
they can win that game.
I think DK Metcalf is showing up a lot more. I've actually gained a larger amount of respect for DK Metcalf's game since Russell Wilson has left.
You're welcome, Gabe. I told you I traded him. I traded Gabe DK, and he was cursing me out the first few weeks of the season. But
yeah. All right, moving on to Sunday Night Football. Chiefs and 49ers.
You made me talk about the Chiefs.
All right, I will. The Chiefs, I think the Chiefs are going to win this game. I know it's at San Fran. I know San Francisco just traded for their new running back. Yada yada. You're not gonna have Christian McCaffrey coming. They're not going to hand him the ball 30 times. They might do a little gimmicky stuff down in the red zone. Like they're going to say, "Hey, Christian, go run a 5-yard out to the sideline." Okay, and get him a touchdown like that just to get the fans excited. But until he can really implement himself into the playbook, into the system, and all that stuff, it's still going to be Jimmy G regardless. And so, with that being said, that defense is a little banged up as well. Give me the Chiefs. Give me the Chiefs in that one.
Yeah, it's tough to say because, again, the Chiefs aren't very good,
Right.
in my humble opinion.
Of course.
That loves the Chiefs. But, no, I hate them. Can't stand them. Chiefs defense, not really good anywhere outside of Chris Jones. Not good. I mean, they do have Snead at corner. Snead's solid, but, I mean, it's just – Justin Reed for what he was supposed to be is not that. I think we talked about that last week too. The only thing with the Niners is it's going to take them a little while to get Christian McCaffrey integrated. Christian McCaffrey owners in fantasy, don't be happy this week and don't be too down when Christian McCaffrey doesn't get you a ton of points. I don't expect him to. It is Christian McCaffrey, though. The only fear of mine with him going to the Niners is that they may run him too much because they're a run-heavy team.
Right.
But they can get creative with Debo, and we'll see what they can turn that into. So it won't just be him, Christian McCaffrey pounding the rock. Again, the Chiefs offensively, without Tyreek, they're not the team they were. Patrick Mahomes isn't the person he was. He's good for a couple shovel pass touchdowns. Again, 30 of his 50 touchdown passes on the season will come off of little shovel passes from the 1 yard line. Big news in this game, though. This is the biggest news that has come out of this one is Isaiah Pacheco is now taking first team snaps.
Ooh.
Isaiah Pacheco is I've been talking about him for a long time. I drafted him in my Dynasty League, and he has officially taken over the first team snaps. And we've seen it. I mean, every time Pacheco gets the ball, he runs hard.
He does.
I think they described it as he was trying to put his foot to the ground. He runs hard. So I think Pacheco will give them an extra little dimension to that. And finally, somebody who can be a consistent 3-down back. Clyde Edwards-Helaire was a whole lot of much ado about nothing. I mean, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, where he put up points in fantasy, but I've said it all season. He's one of the lowest rated running backs in terms of just pure ability, and he was very touchdown dependent. I mean, one of those freaking running backs that was going to go get you 800 yards and 16 touchdowns. The dude was he's not good. Pacheco, very good. Rookie. I would, if I was in your fantasy leagues, deep fantasy leagues, dynasty leagues, keeper leagues, whatever, go get Pacheco. Isaiah Pacheco now taking the first team reps there. So that's a little bit of excitement for me out of that one. But give me the Niners to win that one.
Okay. So I don't really have anything to say on the primetime games such as the Steelers and Dolphins or the Bears and Patriots. If it's all right with you, we can go right to the question that we have on our Facebook comments. You okay with that?
Yes, sir. So is Martin Morris, our producer and tech genius. So he said he started playing fantasy football this year for the first time. Any advice to newbies? I'm assuming redraft because that's what most people do.
Right.
But I'll let you go first.
Okay, so I'm assuming it's a redraft format. I'm assuming it's a PPR format. That seems to be the usual standard here. Biggest piece of advice I can give you is always play your studs. The guys you got in the first, second, third rounds, the biggest names on your team. Don't worry, at that point, don't worry about their matchup. Don't worry about any of that stuff. If they are playing in that game, you start them, right? You see all these fantasy experts. I know we're talking about it too. They're saying, "Oh, this person's not going to do as well." Yada yada yada. Those are still the best players on your team. Always start your studs. Stand by your studs. I could really dive down this rabbit hole, but we are kind of pressed for time now. So I'm not going to because we're going to have multiple shows. So we'll get more into that stuff. More baseline. Always start your studs. What do you got?
Yeah, my biggest tip: 0 RBs. Okay, I live by this. I die by this. Running backs. Do not use your top picks on running backs unless you can get one of the top guys. However, even those are, very hit or miss. I mean, we look at the top 10 running backs coming into the season. Those are not the top 10 current running backs in fantasy right now. We look at the top 10 receivers in fantasy coming into it's more consistency at the receiver position. While you do want to get running backs, of course, primarily go for receivers early, right? And then figure the running backs out as you go. Running back points are, again, very, very – the top guys in the league right now are putting up middle-of-the-road stats. Like you got Jonathan Taylor, who I think was a 22nd ranked running back fantasy-wise so far this year. He was the number 1 overall pick in every draft. However, you got Justin Jefferson, who was the number 1 wide receiver in every draft, or should have been, and he's playing like he was. Again, look at the top 5 running backs from 5 years ago. Look at the top 5 receivers from 5 years ago. There's more consistency in the receiver position. It's much easier to gauge who's going to be good at the receiver position coming into the season. I'm a big proponent of 0 running backs. Find solid starters, right? But it doesn't have to be your first 3 picks don't need to be used on running backs. Again, later in this draft, you could have got Dameon Pierce, earlier on in the draft process between 8 and 10.
Breece
Hall, Kenneth Walker, Ramondre Stevenson. Like these guys are putting up top 5 running back numbers. Ramondre Stevenson's he's RB5. They're putting up these numbers, but they were middle of the road running backs, and you got the guys at the top. You got your Mixons, you got your Taylors, you got Najee Harris. Najee Harris has done nothing this year, and he was a first-round running back, 3rd off the board in most cases. He was going ahead of Nick Chubb. No running backs. Get receivers. Stop drafting running backs. Stop selling yourself on running backs.
Yeah. Okay. That's all I had. Do you have anything else?
Baseball, Stros, go Stros. Dominated the Yankees. We are the Yankees' father from here on out. 6-0 in the postseason. I don't know how the hell we're dominating as good as we are because I knew we were going to dominate, but this is insane. Stros Phillies World Series coming up.
It sure is looking that way.
John Quinn.
John Quinn, just last thing said, the drop-off between the top 10 and the rest of the running backs is nominal. The drop-off between top 10 receivers and the rest is massive. Got to agree.
Exactly.
Your top 10 receivers are going to be giving you, 20-plus points a week, and the rest of them are going to be giving you around 12.
Yep.
That's a big difference versus the running backs who are going to top running backs are giving you around 17, 18 a week. And then your RB2s are giving you around 13 to 15. So,
One last thing, fantasy-wise, Khalil Herbert starting to take that backfield over. Get your eyes on it right now. Khalil Herbert's going to be the top running back in Chicago.
Really? Over Montgomery, huh?
Give it to me. Write it down. Take a note somewhere that I told you this. He will take Montgomery's spot.
Okay. All right. So that will do it for us here at the CheesyCorn Sports Podcast. I'd like to thank each and every one of you across Facebook and YouTube for tuning in. I'm glad we got this live and going today. Tune in at the very least next week, same time. I do know we are trying to get a second episode in there during the week so we can preview the college games and recap NFL as well. So stay tuned on that. If you're on Facebook, go ahead and make sure you guys got the notifications on. If you're on YouTube, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit that little bell icon to make sure to stay up to date with all CheesyCorn Sports. as we come at you. We are going to be placing our bets now and setting our lineups and turning on Red Zone and doing all that stuff. So I'd like to wish each and every one of you a happy Sunday and a even better week ahead. We will see you guys next time.
Thanks for stopping by.
Thanks for checking out the CheesyCorn Sports Podcast. Be sure to subscribe wherever you heard this podcast so you never miss an episode. For more information or to connect with Justin and Martin, check out CheesyCorn Sports on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. We'll see you next time on CheesyCorn Sports.